Hey guys, it's Dave again from GuitarBreakdown.com, and today I'm going to break down another Guthrie Govan solo. This one was uploaded probably about a week ago or so by the good folks over at Ben Note. They've got a really cool channel happening. I'm looking forward to see it grow. They got a really, between Guthrie and Christoph, they've got such amazing talent. I'm not sure. I talked to them. I had some emails going back and forth with them when I did the Guthrie Christoph video, and they were cool with me breaking that down and everything. They just wanted me to, mention their channel also. And then this one, I shot them an email asking if they were actually going to do a full-on lesson, because when I watched this video, it seemed like Guthrie he mentioned how he's not really sure what he played in it. So I don't know if he's actually going to break down note for note what they're doing. They didn't get back to me. It's been a week or so. So I just wanted to do a quick, because I've had some requests on this one already, I just wanted to do a quick lesson on this, because this has quickly become one of my favorite Guthrie solos, because he does so many really cool things. And every time I think I kind of know his style and some of the things that he does, he'll surprise me with this, a new trick. And it's not a trick, it's just a new way of phrasing or bending and stuff. And that's what he does throughout this video. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to break down the first 12 bars of this. It's a shuffle, 12/8 shuffle in G, in the key of G. It's a G dominant 7 thing. And I'm going to just break down the first part. I want to do the whole thing because there's so much good stuff in here, but I don't want to step on the toes of those guys. I don't know if they're, like I said, going to break this down completely. And another thing, I've had some questions about that too, about doing lessons on things that are being taught by other people. I try not to teach the whole thing, so there's no value in buying their stuff, and I actually steer clear of doing that. And another thing is that I never thought it was a bad thing for multiple teachers to teach the same thing. Now, we're not trying to ask for money for this lesson. That would be kind of a weird thing. But I've always valued, like, especially in music school, I always valued going to one teacher and seeing what they have to say about soloing over like a 12-bar blues or something. And then go to another teacher and hear him explain it. And then everybody has a different way of doing things and different thought about using scales over chords and all that kind of stuff. And it's always interesting. So I think the more lessons that are out there on the same subject, there's a lot more value to everybody out there watching. So anyway, I hope you guys really enjoy. I'm really excited about this. This one was a difficult one again for me to play because he does some bends that are just weird to me. But they're so much fun. So I hope you enjoy this, and let's get on with the lesson. Thanks. Alright guys, before we get on with the lesson, if you click the link below, it will bring you to this video on Ben Note's channel where Guthrie plays this song. And I'm not going to put a time code because it happens at the very beginning. It's the very beginning section of this solo. And as I always do, we'll talk about the chords that are playing underneath this solo, just so you have a foundation of what's going on. It's a 12/8 shuffle in the key of G, and which means it's basically 12/8 notes per measure, and it sounds like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's basically it. And the chords are, there's a G7. It starts out with a G7 for one full measure. Then it goes to a C7, which is the 4 chord for a full measure. Then it goes back to a G7 for a full, actually for 2 measures. Then it goes back to the 4 chord for one full measure, to the G7 for half a measure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it moves up to the A minor 7. You can do extensions or whatever, but basically an A minor chord for another half measure. Then it goes up to the B minor chord for another half measure. And then it goes to this chord, which it moves the bass down a half step, basically from B to B flat. But essentially, you could think of this as a flat 5 substitution of the 6 chord. because it could have gone from the G7 to the A to the B to the 6 chord, and that's an E. That's the 6 chord is an E note, or the 6 of G is an E note, and then the 5th of E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is B. So then a flat 5 is B flat. So the flat 5 dominant of E is B flat. So that's where this chord's coming in. So it's a G7 to an A to a B to a B flat. Then it goes for a full measure on a D7, which is the 5, and then it goes up to the flat 7, which is an F for a full measure. Then it goes back down to G for half measure, C for half measure, G for half measure, and up to D. Ends on that D, and then back around. And that's the full 12 bars. I don't know if that was kind of quick, but rewind it, and it's pretty straightforward with the exception of the walk up. So besides that section, it's pretty straightforward 12-bar blues. So yeah, record that, and then you can start recording this. Or I think, like I said, I think Bend Note is going to have backing tracks. I'm really not sure because I don't speak French, and I went and translated what they were saying and everything. It looks like they're doing a backing track to this and everything, but I can't really be sure. So anyway, so let's move on to the solo section. All right, so let's get into the solo section. What's going on over these chords? So over that G7 chord, the first chord, he starts out with a typical bend, and then slides down. And that's your first finger on the 10th fret of the E string, second finger on the 11th fret of the B string, and you bend the B string up a half step, and then slide it down. And he's really, after he's doing all this, he's really clamping down on these strings. That was a hard thing that I had in the performance, trying to really get all the strings to be silent right before you're going to play the next section. And that is taken care of by palm muting here, holding certain strings with your left hand, and also sometimes when I'm playing certain notes, if I'm playing something on the G string, I'll be palm muting the top 3 strings, the E, A, and D string with the palm of the right hand, and then I'll also be holding the B and E string with my open 2 fingers here. So the only thing that could possibly ring is this G string. This B string can't, this E can't, and if those, you're going to get little muted notes, but nothing will ring. So that leaves this note open. So I do that a lot with a lot of my strings. I don't know if other people do that. They probably do. But I try and keep things as clean as possible. I'm not always very successful at it. But anyway, so after you do this bend, I clamp down and I hold these strings so you hear nothing. And then he plays this. And again, I'm muting everything with my palm, and I've even got my ring finger on the high E string. After I play that first note on the high E string, when I play the rest of these notes, I'm holding the E string with my ring finger so it doesn't ring out, and then that leaves just this string able to ring. Again, I don't know if other people go crazy over this silliness, but I like those little details because it keeps things clean and quiet. So anyway, so this phrase starts on the 12th fret. Again, we're pretty much in G minor pentatonic. He is throwing in a 6th in there pretty often. So if you look at this pentatonic, he's actually playing this sometimes. So he's changing this note with this note, and this note instead of this note. It's a very Robin Fordish, Larry Carlton. I mean, again, as I say in all these videos, everybody does this, but those guys really use those kind of scales. So this starts out, again, E string, 12th fret. Then it goes to the 10th fret of the B string and bends up a half step, up and down. So then it slides up from the 8th fret to the 10th fret, back down to the 5th fret, and back up to the 8th fret on the B string. So that's... And then he does a slow vibrato on that, and then kind of speeds that up. So that whole thing is... And then and you actually hear it start, you know, he's really stretching those strings, and then he slides off. And he does that again. This is one thing I learned a few times transcribing him. He doesn't just slide off like that. Like, he slides all the way down. So it's... then he goes into your familiar pentatonic shape, the first one you learn. This one's in G, and he goes, and that's the 6th fret of the B string, and he does a quick trill from the 5th fret to the 6th fret, back to the 5th fret on the G string. So, and he holds that note, and then he pulls off to the G string 3rd fret, and he bends that up quickly to a half step. So it's, and he cuts it off pretty right away. So he lifts his finger, and again, I'm using a lot of this where I'm holding that string so it doesn't ring after it does, nothing's rings out craziness.